YouTube, what is up? Coach Wiz here, and we're back with another reaction video. How good was Pistol Pete? Really? Now I did this video before. It's done some decent numbers. That video was by Nonstop. This one is by Johnny Arnett. Shout out to you. Y'all go subscribe to his channel. But yeah, Pistol Pete, one of the most influential, one of the GOATs to me, one of the legends, really pioneered a lot of things that you still see today. So, youngsters, if you don't know nothing about Pistol Pete, guaranteed you've been doing some of his drills, some of his workouts, something. So, definitely go back and do your research, man. Definitely check out Pistol Pete. Let's get right into this one, man. Got to show Pistol Pete some love.
Quality basketball player, but just how good was he exactly? Well, let's do this like we do with all other players in this series and take it back to the beginning of their career. Long before the Pistol had played a professional basketball game, Pete's father, Press, was hellbent on making his son Pete into an NBA talent. As a result, hard work and basketball obsession was very present in Pete's life from a very early age. It was evident as it led Pete to have arguably the greatest.
My fault. Pistol Pete's dad was kind of a menace. He was he was kind of a menace. He was kind of a menace, low key. But let's continue.
College basketball career of all time, as he averaged an absurd 44.2 points per game over his 3 years in Division I competition.
That is sick. Sick. 44 points a game with no 3-point line. Do y'all understand how insane that is? If there's a 3-point line, he probably was averaging 60.
Because of this, Pistol Pete was obviously a hot commodity heading into his NBA career. The 6'5" shooting guard was drafted 3rd overall in the 1970 draft by the Atlanta Hawks. You would think that a player with that kind of collegiate career would then be greeted with optimism from his new NBA teammates, but that actually wasn't the case. You see, Pete had a very flashy style of basketball.
Hold on. Let's run that back.
NBA teammates, but that actually wasn't the case. You see, Pete had a very flashy style of basketball.
Ahead of his time, man.
That was frowned upon at the time that he was entering the NBA. All of his fast breaks, no-look passes, behind-the-back passes, and circus shots weren't embraced by many players and many teams within the league, and the Hawks players were no exception. The other star players on the Hawks were their point guard Lou Hudson and their center Walt Bellamy, who both had a very conservative style of play.
Walt Bellamy, one of the best centers ever, man. You can't be a hooper and not know this stuff. Do your homework.
Even with some early on chemistry issues, Maravich still found ways to be productive and
Oh, hell. I'm sorry. Did y'all see this? Man, watch this ball fake.
Even with some early on chemistry issues, Maravich still found ways to be productive and excellent in his rookie campaign, as he averaged 23.2 points, 4.4 assists, and 3.7 rebounds on 45.8% shooting. It was an impressive debut that ultimately resulted in a first-round exit at the hands of the New York Knicks. As the years went on, Maravich's skills and production continued to improve. He was a genius on the fast break. He was a passing wizard. He was likely the greatest ball handler at the time, and he was an absolute scoring machine as he could get a bucket in a multitude of ways. He was great at finishing in the paint, he had a reliable mid-range game, and he even had the range to score from 20 feet and beyond. During these years, the three-point line wasn't invented yet, but Maravich was without question one of the players who could have greatly benefited from the three-point shot. By his 3rd year, he had broke out as an elite superstar in the NBA, as he was 5th in scoring and 6th in assists, as he averaged 26.1 points, 6.9 assists, and 4.4 rebounds on 44% shooting.
I think Pistol was like one of the first tweeners. So one of those first guards that came that was like could play the point, could pass, obviously had the vision, but still was scoring at a high clip. Players like him, Jerry West, Some of these moves, bro, like you got to really think about how far ahead of his time he was. Like it's crazy. It's sad that he didn't get to see everything that he influenced and inspired.
In Maravich's first 4 years with the Hawks, he had established himself as a premier
Oh,
player, but the team still wasn't clicking enough.
what is
His first
that?
4 years with the Hawks,
Look at
he had
this.
established himself as a premier player, but the team still wasn't clicking enough to be among the elite teams of the NBA, and the Hawks were ready to make some changes. Enter the New Orleans Jazz. The Jazz were a 1974 expansion team. They needed someone to help bring attention and excitement to their new franchise, so they traded 2 players and 4 draft picks to the Hawks to acquire Maravich. It comes as no surprise that the new expansion New Orleans Jazz offered little help to Maravich, and despite his fantastic
Mm.
numbers, they never made the playoffs during those years. The lack of talented support didn't stop Maravich from putting on a strong display with the Jazz right as he was entering the prime of his career. In Pete's third year with the Jazz, he had the best season of his career as he led the league in scoring for the 76-77 season at 31.1 points per game. What makes this even more impressive is that this was the first season after the NBA and ABA merger, meaning the competition was stronger and the league was jam-packed with fantastic scorers that year.
So yeah, this is like after the merger. So this ain't when it was just 4 teams. Not taking a shot at Will or Bill. I'm not taking no shot. But I'm just saying this was after the merger. And he dropping 31 a game. Pistol Pete, put some respect on Pistol Pete's name.
Despite competitors like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Billy
Oh,
Knight, David
oh,
Thompson, George Gervin, Bob
oh,
McAdoo, Rick
oh,
Barry, Bob
oh,
Lanier, and Julius Erving, Pete Maravich was still by far the leading scorer that season, with nearly a
Mm.
5-point lead in his average ahead of the nearest scorer. The highlight of that year was when the Pistol dropped 68 points on the New York Knicks. At the time,
That was on Clyde, right? That was on Clyde. You know what I'm saying? Clyde was known for the clamps. Huh? So if you doubted Pistol before, what you got to say now?
it was the most points ever scored by a guard in NBA history.
Oh,
Remember, this was at a time when there was no 3-point line, and this guard dropped 68 points. With the distance he had on many of his shots, he easily would have scored into the 70s if he had a 3-point line. This also makes you
crazy.
wonder how many points he would have averaged that season and in his career if many of his baskets were worth 3 points instead of 2 points.
Oh,
Maravich was a force, but unfortunately, due to some consistent knee issues, Pete's career was cut very short. With his scoring and assists, he should be much higher on the all-time list, but he only played 658 games throughout his career. That's essentially only 8 full seasons of basketball, yet despite that, he still had 5 All-Star appearances and made 4 All-NBA teams. His final season was at just 32 years old. It was the 1979-1980 season, which was the NBA's first ever season with a 3-point shot. He was well past his prime at this point, and the knee issues were laboring him throughout the year and caused him to miss many games. Despite the sample size, he still made 10 of his 15 3-point attempts, which is a remarkable 66%. One
I'm fair. That's not a big sample size, but hey, we know he could shoot. We know he could shoot. Yeah, man. It really sucks because he didn't have the longevity. Um, and he was on some pretty bad teams too. You feel me? So that kind of hurts his, I guess, stock or wherever you want to rank him amongst the greats. But to me, it's about the impact you made. You feel me? That matters too. And he impacted a lot, even though they wasn't rocking with it back then. Just look at all these guards today. It comes from the pistol, man.
can only wonder what his career percentage would have been if the 3-point shot had always been available to him. He played his final games coming off the bench as an offensive spark for the Boston Celtics, who were led by Larry Bird in his rookie campaign. For the Pistols' career, he averaged
Oh,
24.2 points, 5.4 assists, 4.2 rebounds, and 1.4 steals on 44% shooting. His 24.2 points per game average is the 18th highest career average in NBA history, and it's the 7th highest average by a guard. This man's career was quite short, but it still left quite an impression on many other greats. All-time legend Elgin Baylor said this of Maravich: Oscar Robertson was the best guard I've ever played against. Jerry West was the best I've ever played with. Pete was the best I've ever seen. Years
that says a lot. What? Man.
after his retirement, Maravich did lots of soul searching before giving his life to Christ and becoming a Christian. Just a few years before his death, Maravich said, "I want to be remembered as a Christian, a person that serves Jesus to the utmost, not as a basketball player." And that brings us to January 5th, 1988, in Pasadena, California. At Pete's church, he was playing a pickup game with his friends when he collapsed and died due to a heart defect. He was only 40 years old, and he was playing the game he loved. So just how good was Pete Maravich really? Well, he was one of the hardest workers ever, one of the greatest passers, one of the greatest ball handlers, and one of the greatest scorers, which altogether makes him one of the greatest guards of NBA history. Let me know in the comments section where you rank Pete Maravich among the greatest guards of all time. Who's he better than, and who's better than him? Make sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Shout out to my man Johnny, man. Dope video. He's got dope videos over there. Go tap in, go subscribe. Pistol Pete, man. Again, it's sad that we didn't get to see he didn't get to see like how much he really affected the game of basketball. Man, just one of the best to ever do it. I still use his drills. I still teach his drills to a lot of players that I've trained and different teams that I've coached. Yeah, man, one of the best to ever do it. But that is it. That's it for the video. Let me know what y'all want to see next. Y'all want to see the Dream Team documentary? Do y'all want to see that? Huh? Y'all want that video next? It's recorded. It's recorded. I need the likes and the subs. No, I'm just playing, man. No, shout out to y'all, man. Coach Wiz, man. Let me know what y'all want to see next. I am out of here.